So what do you think? Like, why are we calling ourselves gamers, emphasizing the gay? Who puts the gay in gamers? We do. Why do we put it there?
Why not?
Oh. All right, Socrates.
Yeah, it's definitely, taps into that question of like, does sexuality need to be a part of video gaming at all? And I would say for myself, it's like in a tower defense game, no, but in Tetris, not necessary. But as games are getting more and more detailed, and we're starting to get these amazingly drawn out stories with these characters that you really get involved with, you do kind of wonder. It's like, does homosexuality have a place in video games? And for those of us who are gay, like, of course it does. It should. It only seems fair. But of course we grow up in a culture where heterosexual relationships are considered the quote-unquote norm. And so, developers have to go out on a limb if they're going to write a gay relationship into the storyline. And then they have to risk taking a lot of flack from the community, from the gaming community, for having that there. Dean has often talked a lot about how
well, there's some pitfalls. Because if designers are writing games and they're putting gay characters in it, we're hoping that they're gay designers. Because straight designers or white designers or whoever can write from their own point of view, but they often fall into stereotypes when they're writing someone who isn't them. Because they want to make sure that everyone knows that this guy's gay. He's really gay. Gay. I want this person to read gay. Can he be gayer? You
get Hollywood from Mannequin.
Yes. Who we love.
Of course.
Fabulous. But when every character in the game is that, if you're going to be gay in a game, then you are this thing. And I think women in games have had this problem, and they're getting over it, where if you're a woman, you're sexy, and this is how you talk, and this is how you look, and this is what happens. And now we're getting more fleshed out female characters. And I think part of that is because we have people who are in games that are more specialized. We have specific writers. The designers are not doing the writing. We have art directors. We have a bunch of people who are professionals in their field and not just, I like to make games, which I think helps flesh it out more. But I think also we need to be GAY-MERS because everyone's assumed to be straight. And especially with games being multiplayer online experiences, you're going to deal with people and they're automatically going to assume you're straight. Or sometimes they're going to assume you're a girl because all they hear is your voice. So, that's not a judgment. I was just talking about Daniel. So I think we need a community, and part of it too is just sort of like, fuck you, I don't want to hear any of your faggot shit when I'm online. I want you to see me and say, like, I'm queer, so if you have a problem with that, you have a problem with me. So none of us are hiding. I think that's part of it, and I also think we're probably just looking for community. Like, who else is playing a game? And is gay. So when you're playing a role-playing game, you don't have to worry that you picked a female avatar or that your guy has no clothes on. I don't know if anybody's playing Saints Row 2, but naked. I was streaking yesterday in Saints Row 2, and you get respect for doing it. So, yeah. Saints Row 3, sorry. Yes, counting is something I don't do.
I feel that also it's a part of a sense of pride too. Like, we are who we are, and we love what we love.
Yeah.
Well, if you want community, I had a friend who ran a GLBT guild. He met his future husband on World of Warcraft through this guild.
Was he a dwarf?
No, neither of them were a dwarf.
Dark elf.
I don't know, because the less they talk about WoW, the happier I am.
So I have a question though. Sometimes coming out as a gamer is kind of rough. I don't know how many of your friends know that you're a gamer. I know that my friends kind of know, but I'm not sure they know how much I play.
Don't tell them.
A lot.
Yeah, it's definitely still held, but I guess it would be the same thing as coming out and saying, I'm gay and I enjoy comic books or that sort of thing. It's just kind of relegated to like, oh my god, you're one of those kind of gays, okay. But it's I take a little pride in that.
So maybe we could just do a little poll. You'll have to applaud for us, and maybe a little louder so our mic can pick it up. Like, how many people's, your closest friends know how much you play video games? Would be really loud. How many people would tell someone on their first date they would talk about video games, or they would let them into their room and see the piles that they're a little braver than I am.
You're an extreme case. I'm kidding.
Whose family knows how much video games there are? My dad still thinks Centipede when I tell him I play video games. And that's big for him. He probably associates it with balls, though, because...
Track ball?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's why my son's gay. He plays Centipede.
I loved Moonwalker. I don't know if you guys played Moonwalker, but that fucking dance button made me so happy. I would just go, dance! And the whole arcade, and they would just all do their thing. It was awesome. There need to be more games like that.
Have you by chance played Space Channel 5?
No, I haven't.
You must, because Michael Jackson, apparently at the time, Sega had license for his likeness in games, so he shows up in both Space Channel 5 Part 1 and Part 2. And in Part 2, I know, you have to do a Thriller-style dance, because it's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
And he's there and do all the Michael Jackson moves, and we play this reporter with pink hair. It's one of the gayest games ever.
Is there a monkey in a polo shirt?
No, there's not. There's almost everything else.
Okay. Can you turn into a giant robot and chase children?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the bosses.
It's true. There's robot bosses, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Robot Michael Jackson. I'm in. So then, my other question is, how often are you aware of being gay when you're gaming? And what makes you aware? Because if we're calling ourselves GAYMERS, then the gay has to come in there somewhere. So where does it come in?
Well, one thing that this isn't in direct relation to what you were talking about, but I'm certainly aware that I'm a gay gamer if I'm online and I'm hearing the word faggot tossed around over and over and over again. So I don't online game. I just don't. I have no interest in it. I have this aspiration to have thicker skin than that, and maybe someday I will. Who knows what that means, that I avoid online gaming strictly because of the fact that the word faggot's thrown around so much, but it just bothers me enough that I don't want to even be involved. And it's like the same way that I choose my friends. If I had friends that threw that word around all the time, first I would tell them it's not appropriate, but then if it continued, I wouldn't hang out with them. It's the same sort of a thing with the community. So I know that wasn't specifically what you were asking for in your question.
I was just asking for an answer.
Well, I'll say one thing, especially because I've been playing role-playing games for so long. So many of them have the goal of rescuing the princess.
Right.
They assume your character is male and you're rescuing a female, especially in fantasy. The gender roles are extremely codified. And especially I remember playing Dragon Warrior, you have to rescue Princess Gwaelin, and you have to rescue her. You have to take her with you whether you want to or not. Because if you don't, they'll just keep asking you to take her until you say yes.
I see that, and I know what you're talking about, but I have to say, a lot of times in those games, I feel like I don't feel any romantic connection between the two characters. It's almost sort of like I'm doing this so everyone thinks I'm straight. So, look, I'm going after the woman in the pink dress. What do you want? I'm really just doing it because there might be a barbarian along the way, but that's always been my feeling. But I do feel it when I'm playing too, when suddenly there's a really bad romantic subplot, or even, I don't know if you guys played LA Noire, but in LA Noire, you have a wife and kids that are completely ignored until you don't have a wife anymore. And like that just seemed kind of dumb to me. I really like being gay in that game would have made that game so much more interesting. Having Cole be possibly homosexual, but people believing that he is, and that being the scandal that makes him lose his job, would have made that game so much more interesting.
In Baldur's Gate 2, there are 4 NPCs that can have a romance with your character. Playing a man, there's 3 of them. Playing a woman, there's only 1, and he's really an asshole. But there's people have released patches turning other characters into the game into same-sex romance. There's one that's a dark elf that if you romance him and you're a man, it doesn't affect your romance dialogue options with the female characters at all for some reason. Like they don't get jealous of it or something like that.
Well, you're just really close buds, right?
Yeah, apparently.
I suck your cock, bro.
Yeah, when you put bro at the end of it, it's not really gay. No homo. Let's see, gays in video games. I think maybe not the faggot so much, but when I hear other people online and they're definitely talking about being straight or women or boobs or what often comes up when you're talking with straight guys, I become very aware of it. And also when I can take my guy's clothes off. In the character creation phase, very aware of being gay. Like, how hot do I want my guy to be? On the Silly Frags site on Facebook, I posted a bunch of my avatars just because it's like a list of ex-boyfriends.
In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, you can create your own character. If you're creating a woman, you can change the bust size. But if you're playing a man, you can't change the bulge at all.
You can in Saints Row 3. It's pretty hilarious. It's like sexuality or sex appeal. And for women, the boobs get really big or really small, but the guys, the pants, the bulge just gets bigger.
Another thing I'm curious, and pretty soon we'll open it up and let you guys kind of dialogue a bit. But I feel like, and for women, I think that this is the same sort of a thing where the video game industry, it's been around for a long time. Most of the programmers in the early days, I would say a larger percentage of them are men, and it's kind of, I feel like it's turned into a bit of it's got a bit of an old boys club mentality, and it's like, we're guys, like this is what guys do. We don't want to let gays in, we don't want to let women in, and if we let a woman in, like, and she has to identify as a woman, like, that's her problem, not ours. I just feel like it's kind of like, so that's the way things are, and the question is, you're the one with the problem.
I also think, though, that a lot of the guys were big geeks, and not so great with the opposite sex. So I'm not sure that they understood women as well. And so
they wrote women as what they thought women should be.
My fantasy. This is
understand them as a what is it? A polygon count.
But wouldn't gay guys do the same thing? Like, I think they probably would. This is my fantasy. I'm going to put it in a game.
Yeah.
And I think probably, and I hate stereotype, but I do it all the time. The straight guys. I lost my train of thought. I looked at you and I lost it.